I know I said I'd be a month, but I was ever so slightly delayed by this rather unfortunate thing called burnout. I laugh when I say it because in hindsight, I think I could have just ploughed through it. So, belatedly, welcome to a content Constable. Yes, I've ditched total rip-off of Content Cop because I got sick and tired of the "this is nothing like Content Cop" comments in favour of something more English. Today, we are going to be addressing, no, not Foodie Beauty, Flobby Blobby, or Amber Lynn Reed, but we are going to cover the train wreck that is Nikocado Avocado. The reason for the delay on him, by the way, is because he is so interesting. For this, we're going to divide the video up into 3 segments. Because I want to be cute about it, we're going to go with the good, because there is some, and we should certainly praise him for it. The bad, there's a lot of that. And the ugly. Okay, so before we dive into the good, the bad, and the ugly, which I'm probably going to say many, many times, because I've been holding on to 8 months, okay? I want to quickly do a very short breakdown of his channel and some of his behaviours. So I guess the very first thing we should do, the most sensible thing in fact, is do a very brief rundown of Nikocado and his channels. There are, as far as I'm aware, 2, maybe 3. On the main channel, he mukbangs and vlogs. He has done this for a very long time. The video format follows a very simple routine. He gets a lot of food, he sits on camera, eats, and then has a meltdown, which had me thinking after watching him quite a while that perhaps a lot of that was just put on for the cameras. But a number of people had mentioned to me, and I'm starting to lean in favour of agreeing with them, that the responses are entirely because of his love relationship with food. It can all be traced back to the moment he stopped being a vegan, when he had one of his most epic meltdowns, during which he started gorging like there was no tomorrow, and crying a lot. It was quite something, I have to say. As I stated, there is a very clear format with his videos, many believing that he does these kind of videos, the mukbangs especially, as an excuse to get whatever emotion is off his chest, his very large chest. Many have noticed how he has grown over the years, from being nothing more than a simple, very skinny vegan that looked ridiculously unhealthy, to what he is now, which is equally unhealthy but the other side. I'm well aware that he stopped being a vegan for, and I'll air quote it because I'm sure many debate this, health reasons, but he did anyway, and credit to him, he did try for quite some time before walking away and deciding that steak was better for him. Along with ramen, he has a thing for ramen. Moving on from that, another key trait, something that lingers throughout all his content, is that somehow, by hook or by crook, and we're going to cover 3 of them in a bit anyway, he is always involved in drama of some kind. Now maybe he doesn't mean it, but everything is drama to him anyway, which is great, because his channel has long since surpassed its expectation, which would be the cliché expectation of channels existing and then summarily falling into irrelevancy. He's one of the few creators that has managed to flourish with drama, to the point where he has maintained consistent viewership and subscriber growth. Got to give him credit for that. I make it a point to avoid drama because I think it's absolutely boring, but he's managed to turn it into a sustainable income, along with the eating, meltdowns, hair clippings. The meltdowns are probably what do it most. He does have quite the loyal fan base, and credit to them as well, for sticking by with someone they believe is worth their time. I mentioned earlier that somebody pointed out to me, a few people had pointed out to me there was a weird love-love relationship between Nikocado and food. Some had attributed it to an eating disorder, not the one when he was vegan, but the one where whenever he eats, especially the mukbangs, certain types seem to elicit the most extreme of meltdowns. And there is a point to that not many speak of, because it is a very touchy subject. But when there is an obvious problem, a psychological problem, one must consider advising at all opportunities that you get medical help for that. As entertaining as you are as a creator, your health is a tad more important than the money you bring in, and I'm sure many will stand by you anyway, regardless of whether you are healthier and doing less, or whether you are self-destructive, and doing more. Many of you are going to be sitting back thinking, oh Megon, you've just oversimplified absolutely everything. You're right, because I know for a fact the 3 instances I want to use to make an overarching point to everything about Nikocado within this video will not cover everything I want to cover. So things like Mrs. Pickles have to go on the back burner into a possible part 2, which I will set a precondition at the end of the video to get if you would like me to give Nikocado a second run through. So I want to now do a very simple thing. I want to cover 3 things, 3 instances that best showcase some of the rather interesting aspects of Nikocado's channel. For the sake of it, I'm going to be cute, and I'm going to call it the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I think for the sake of it, we should now start with the good, which would be Nikocado and his relationship with copyright. So I guess for the sake of it, we should definitely make it a point to address the one good thing, the one good redeeming quality about Nikocado Avocado, because there are many bad things, and there's one overarching point that will linger throughout this entire video. The good quality is that unlike the other 2 people we've covered, he's never abused copyright. In fact, he was involved in drama over it. There are many videos that covered the drama in question, and I'm going to give you the Cliff's Notes. There is a channel that makes clips. Clips are short parodies taken from content of other people that are transformative and highly entertaining. I've seen many done by Little Board on KSI. They're brilliant, and even he likes them, so much so that he reacts to them on his second channel and laughs at them. The channel in question is called Shukbang. Shukbang made a clip that involved 2 creators eating food together, called Veronica Wang and Stephanie Su. Now this video was initially well received by both. In fact, they left comments on that video, and then after a while, it didn't go down so well, because there were other parody videos on that channel, and this channel had made many parodies in the past, and continued to do so. The argument of fair use did crop up, so much so that Sass ASMR and Veronica Wang struck Shukbang. Now the problem here is 3 strikes. There were 3 strikes done, which meant that Shukbang was screwed. Huge issue as well added to that, so a resolution needed to be found because there was actually more at stake here than you would realise. Nikocado Avocado did in fact reach out to Shukbang and they spoke, offering assistance with managerial aid from Nikocado's end. Shukbang took some time away. Veronica Wang decided to go on Instagram and made a little video where she pointed the blame constantly and looks like nothing more than a self-obsessed bully. And let's be clear, Veronica Wang is a bully. There is no denying that. It is confirmed throughout the entire timeline. It should be noted before that video, the Instagram video in question, that was a response partially to Nikocado having done one where he decided to break down fair use. Fair use is a vastly complicated system, and one should recognize that YouTube has very little to do with it unless a lawsuit is involved, because they like to be an entertainment platform and wash their hands of these petty disputes from the lowly oiks. One of the most pertinent aspects, along with many of the comments that cropped up prior to all of this, comments she'd left on tweets, videos, and Instagram, was the constant claim that courtesy of this parody video she was receiving threats of the deafening kind. Right, because a parody video does that. Interesting. It should be noted, the video Shukbang made was condensed from a 30-minute mukbang down to 3 minutes of really awkward clips with text and effects. But apparently this wasn't fair use. I fundamentally disagree with that. Nikocado was very professional in his handling of the situation, in how he brought the message across that she, Veronica Wang, was in the wrong. Stephanie Su, who was brought into this, by the way, by Veronica Wang, did reach out to Shukbang via a comment and expressed that she wanted nothing to do with this and disagreed with it. Now, after a bit of radio silence, Shukbang did reach out to Sass ASMR and cleared things up. They agreed to terms, which upon revealing the terms, hardly anyone was impressed, especially when Veronica Wang then also retracted because Shukbang apologised, which is what she wanted, because that's how you get results, everyone. You bully the little guy into doing what you want. I say guy, I actually mean girl, who runs a channel called April ASMR, and the reason they reached out to apologise was because that channel, their main channel, was tied to Shukbang, and if Shukbang was terminated, so was that channel, so they created a separate one. Understandably, with all that happened, Nico was not impressed with how Shukbang handled it, but Veronica decided, upon issuing a letter apology, to follow up all of that with a video. Now, you've all heard of YouTube apologies, right? They're the very long videos with lots of ads in, where the words "I'm sorry" somehow never crop up, or if they do, they crop up at a totally random moment and is then filled with fluff that utterly devalues, which is exactly what Veronica Wang's video was. It should be noted PewDiePie addressed the drama, Veronica Wang respected it, and then decided to unironically copy his own content for a meme. But it's okay when she does it, everyone. It's okay. Hell, you even got Jeffree Star's attention. Upon releasing the apology video, PewDiePie basically called you out again because you were a hypocrite. Because you proved a point. That somebody who makes it a point to hide everything usually gets caught out. And also you took shots at Nikocado in that video for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Every point he made, Nikocado that is, PewDiePie also made after him. You only listened to PewDiePie because he's bigger than you and because you have no respect for the very community you were a part of, or are a part of. Nikocado handled himself in this situation, as far as I'm aware, quite well, and I have nothing but respect for what he was willing to do to stand up for somebody who was being falsely copyright struck by two bullies in Sass ASMR and Veronica Wang. This is why I'm making this segment, because I want to respect that, and because the rest is really funny. Nico, I love what you do, honestly. This was brilliant. It's a shame that Shukbang didn't listen to you, but you did exactly what should have been done. And you called out somebody who was willing to abuse a system because their feelings were more important than anything else. And that was the overarching point of Veronica Wang's drama. Her feelings. And as we all know, everyone, feels before reels, yo! In it. Swag. Now let's move on to some of the funnier stuff that he's done. Because honestly, I can give him credit all day for this, but I really, really, really want to talk about some of the other things to make my whole encompassing point, which this kinda doesn't fit into. How strange. For this area of the video, we need to discuss a few interesting interactions, but I don't intend to dawdle on it, so I do apologise. For this, we need Nikocado, Avocado, and Trisha Paytas. Now, this all started after he did a cover of one of her songs from the album, I believe, called Warrior. Nico submitted a violin cover that she loved, going so far as to comment in his video, heaping praise upon him in the comments and on Twitter, which led to a DM exchange, where he planned to come to LA because she said so, and to meet up on a Tuesday, which she agreed to, upon which he did purchase the flight tickets to LA from Colombia, which she knew he came from, important little tidbit for later, and she did not, for the 4 days that he was there, appear at any point, going so far as to ignore the DMs that he sent to her asking her where she was and if everything was okay. This led to an interesting interaction where he left a very long message and promised he wouldn't talk about it again. Of course, he has since reneged on that, but that was only because Trisha couldn't keep her mouth shut, going so far as to drop immense turds on Nikocado that contradicted the very messages he showed the receipts of. Now, there were some odd blips in the DM exchange that he claimed she doctored. I don't care. She gave all the information up to another drama channel. They reported on it, which forced Nico's hand. Skip ahead a couple years, Nico's husband, Orlin, went onto Trisha's Cameo and asked her to say what she did like and did not like about Nikocado. What she didn't like essentially came down to her completely reinterpreting what actually happened incorrectly. And what she did like was his hustle. We'll get to his hustle another time. It should be noted that when Trisha was dumping on Nikocado, she was lying from the offset, whether it be lying about collaborating him when she said she would, in DMs and in video, when she claimed she did not know who Nikocado was, yet in the very comment she initially left admitted to being a fan for a while, and on Twitter summarily admitting she had been watching him for a few months. As a way of dealing with the criticism and backlash that Trisha Paytas was receiving because Nico was putting her on blast, she played the ultimate victim card of not just deleting comments that was claimed by many of her detractors, but she was also uploading videos to her Instagram story indicating, and along with tweeting, that the internet is not real life and that everything is character based and all lies. I should now tell you, the internet is as real as the world away from it. It's as real as you make it, after all. While some people do exaggerate for views, it is still real. As a response to Trisha Paytas making a very long video, about a day later in fact, about her mental health struggles, Nick, while having a number of interactions with people on Twitter accusing him of bullying her, to which he pointed out, it is not bullying, she is using it as a scapegoat, her mental health that is. He then went on to make a video on YouTube talking about the real-life aspect that she claimed the internet was not, by pointing out and correctly pointing out that they had planned to meet up in real life. Therefore, what she had done was very much real, instead of the internet lie she believed it was. It should be now noticed and acknowledged that there are a few instances during that video where Nikocado Avocado was very, very intellectually dishonest. Most importantly, when he took clips of Trisha talking about his weight and using it to set up the straw man that all she ever did was talk about his weight. But those clips come from YouNow streams where actually she was defending, not attacking him. Even if there was an overarching point, his overarching point was invalidated by the evidence. On the flip side to that, it should be also recognised that Nick was saying that it was less about the fact that she was talking about his weight and more the fact that she claimed she didn't know who she was, yet she kept talking about him. Now skip ahead a little to a coming clean video from Trisha Paytas. During it, Trisha did show the DMs and said that he reached out to her first, but by doing so she forgot that she had initially requested he do it anyway, so he had in fact DM'd her first. This all comes from the fact that he accused the drama channel and Trisha Paytas of editing the DMs, which upon closer inspection don't really change any of the context of the messages anyway. For years, and it was addressed in that video, there was a claim that Nikocado said that Trisha Paytas paid for his flight. However, while there are comments scattered on many social media platforms, the video is allegedly on Snapchat, and therefore there is no proof of him actually saying it. Therefore there is no receipt to confirm whether she paid for it or he paid for it. Like it really matters, I guess. For the remainder of the video that she did, she was not only unapologetic about the situation, she denied ever setting up a date, which she had, but she also then proceeded to basically character assassinate Nikocado. Now, we can all agree there is definitely something wrong and maybe she's right, but had she addressed this professionally, it would have been far simpler for her to simply say, no, sorry, I'm not available. Regardless of circumstance, since you're an apex troll, one knows you did this knowing the fallout would lead to attention. Something which Nikocado himself confirmed in his final response video to you, where he admitted he would have left you alone had you not kept talking about him, had you not accepted his husband's cameo appearance, had you not kept on doing the same thing but to other people. In end to his video, Nikocado apologised to her for the degree of this had blown up to become. I would say he owed her no apology at all. In fact, he owes nobody an apology. Now let's skip ahead a little, because, well, I'm going to end it with this. Honestly, I don't quite understand this. I get it when people fall out, they eventually are able to make amends and make peace, but you guys did a mukbang together. That's weird. I recounted the entire tale, minus the Nina unrated stuff. It is important, but honestly, I'll cover that some other time perhaps. but you had a massive falling out. Huge. And then you do some mukbangs, whatever they're called, together. Kind of feels like you undid your own work there. So I guess now that we've done the good, which it is good, the bad because I'm still baffled why it ended the way it did, and just shows how utterly fickle some people are, I guess we should get to the ugly, and I think we all know what the ugliest trait of Nikocado Avocado is, or Nikocado. I've been told I've mispronounced it. Sorry, chat. It is not his moobs, which should, if possible, get their own Instagram account, possibly a Twitter, if it doesn't already exist. It is not his meltdowns, because they reek of manipulation. It is not the overarching point, which we'll get to after, his infidelity. And boy oh boy, does this man know how to cheat in style. Now there are 4 videos on his main channel covering the subject, one of which has his husband in it. It is the most awkward, nervous, and cringy video, and it will be this video we focus on. The other 3 videos related to it I'm going to talk about as well. But this is ugly not just because you cheated on your husband many, many, many times. Take it away, Nico. Oh dear.
Parents, I know this is a children's channel. I always say my mukbangs are like for kids and everything, so please don't watch this with your kids. It's not like kid appropriate, and don't worry though, we're not going to go into like gruesome details, but yeah.
So we took a break from each other and I stayed here in Colombia. He actually cheated on me with someone in Florida, like a day or 2 after you arrived to Florida, right?
Yeah.
After, how many hookups do you have in Florida?
I don't remember.
And then he went to Virginia and he actually vlogged, and it turns out that house was a house he went into to have a hookup with somebody else. And then you had repeats, didn't you, in Virginia?
No.
And then he had another. You have another one? Well, you double dipped and you had a
There was
friend.
like 4 or 5 in DC. Okay. And in New York there was like 3 or 4.
You tried to get like 2 in London, but it didn't work out.
No.
You tried to do one in Pennsylvania, 2 at a friend's house, and it also didn't work out.
A friend's house as well. Oh.
Okay, so a couple things. Firstly, I don't know how that alone is something that is okay for kids to know about. I know you've managed to say it in such a way that it is deemed acceptable, and based on all the ads I got, yeah, you got around it. Congratulations. However, it's not really, is it? Copper are going to love you, especially if they follow your current channel's content. The next thing, the thing of interest. This all reminded me of Ross and Rachel on Friends, the "we were on a break" line, which I get. I understand that. When you're on a break, you have that freedom. But to some people, that's not what it is. You have personal space. That's not a pass to go out and basically boink your way around the world as if you're on some kind of cruise. And you took it so far as to go global, which I find to be quite an impressive way of treading water while on a break. I should now point out, based on the other 3 videos, you and the word infidelity appear to be synonymous. I am somewhat surprised in the dictionary it isn't simply a picture of you. And quickly skip ahead a little because I want to get to the tastiest detail of all of this. They were on a break for a while, they got back together, but then there was an icing on the cake, which is something that you should also be in the dictionary for. I believe you call it a bug.
Well, in the extra, when you get an extra cherry in a cake and you really like that, it's like usually you get 1 cherry, but I got 2. Well, when he came back, he brought me a bug, a little bugger. It wasn't a really bad bug, but it was a bug. And
we were afraid. We were very afraid of.
It was a gross bug.
I literally felt, you guys, like my world was coming to an end. It's one thing to take breaks. It's one thing to break up. It's one thing to test waters. It's one thing to have affairs. But it's another thing to get a bug that could possibly end your life early.
This is a kids channel, everyone, where it's okay to talk about getting bugs. Ones that can, and this is still kid-friendly, potentially end your life early. Hang on a second. Let me just have a little think about this. So you went on a cruise while on a break, even though you have been a bit promiscuous in the past, even while in a relationship. You pick up a bug, and then when you get back with your partner, who you are no longer with, well, at the end of that video anyway, you give them the gift of something gross, which does reduce it down to a couple, since it wasn't life-threatening. I hope people start to understand now why I consider this the ugly. I consider it the ugly because you are trying to frame something that is quite bad. Now, while you're laughing it off and it's fantastic that you are able to do that, you are talking about something that involved commitment, and you treated it so flippantly. That, to me, is ugly. Not just that, but you showed that even on a, air quotes, break, your way of dealing with it was to go out of your way to get everyone, going so far as to use Craigslist to create some rather disgusting requests. As far as I'm concerned, I'm surprised he took you back. Then again, isn't it typical really that somebody like that gentleman is so willing to believe that you're the best he could ever get? How low does he think of himself that you're the best? Oh dear, oh dear. I'm glad the bug was dealt with, but I don't think you're right to consider your channel with that video on it kid-friendly, because children shouldn't learn how to be disrespectful to those they supposedly love.
3 years from now, it's gonna be like...
I'm going to apologise for all the mouth noises, but we're 2 years into when that video was released, and I sincerely doubt in the next, let's see, 4 months that it will take for it to become 3 years, that he'll be anywhere near what he wants to be or expects to be. I mentioned there were 3 other videos related to this. Honestly, I can't be bothered. And it's not because I don't want to, but it is entirely because of the predictable nature in the videos. One being from 2018, where Nico, rather upset, went into detail of why his partner's ex-partner had pushed him away because he had an autoimmune disease and he was done with Nicocado's nonsense. Another video then cropped up in 2018 later on with what really happened with my ex-husband. And then this year, a video called I Cheated on My Husband and Now I'm Eating My Feelings. I'm starting to see a pattern here. These videos do quite well for you, except for the most recent one, but I'm almost certain we can attribute that to your audience being fed up of watching you talk about the same thing that, for the most part, many blame you for the demise of. You've admitted to infidelity, so we can exclude the we were on a break stuff. Kind of. Not really. You gave him a bug. The guy already had issues. He didn't need to compound it with what you gave him. The word thoughtless and you are also quite synonymous, it seems. Now, to finish, I want to move on to a conclusion and an overarching point. So I bet you're all sat back thinking, Meg, what's this overarching point you've mentioned so many times? Is it something profound? Something that really gets the noggin jogging? No, actually it's something far simpler. It's something obvious that I think all of you know. Nikocado is quite the liar, don't you think? In fact, I would add, if you go to any instance where he's been involved in drama, and there are a lot of them over the years, you will notice even the people he's beefing with are prolific liars. Part of me had thought perhaps there was some kind of cabal of BS artists, where they'd have their monthly BS mothers meetups and decide who'd have a spiffing good roasting at the hands of Nikocado. But then I realised that involved a certain level of communication that couldn't properly or sufficiently be conveyed through the what must be remarkably cryptic message of, when I eat, must be some deep embedded code. But yes, the overarching point is that Nikocado is a liar, a renowned, known, proven liar. Which means, no matter how much good he does, one can't even be sure if he's actually doing good anyway. because his intentions have been absolutely eroded at by other things he has done that contradict what he says and believes. Someone could now just say, well, he was a vegan once and then he just started eating meat. But I think for the most part, that doesn't hold up much in the way of proving that point. So how do we know if anything that I have discussed is good, bad, or ugly? The answer is, all of it's ugly. It just depends on the perspective you approach it from. It was all messy, and all of it was quite painful to go through. Now, the precondition I said earlier on, the precondition that gets a part 2 where I go into greater detail on a number of things I approached with a little more, well, flippancy, because there's no way I could have gotten this video done in 2019. The precondition is this: 1,500 likes and you get a part 2. But there will be somebody done before then, and it will be a 100% collaborative effort with a deputy. I need to have a little word, make sure his badge is in the right place, but I'll have a word, and I have yet to decide the target. But if you have a suggestion, by all means, let me know. I've yet to make up my mind. Thank you for joining me. Have a lovely day. Hope to see you soon, Nico. Bye, darling.